Welcome back to Blind Man Morris, and today we're going into the weird world of the clutch linkage on a Morris Minor. So, it doesn't work with fancy hydraulics and all that modern stuff, oh no. Use a good old fashioned mechanical levers and linkages, pins and grease and nuts and bolts. When you put your foot down, it actually moves something, which pushes something, which releases your clutch. So let's have a look. So what first off you do is you push your foot down on the clutch, 50 foot-pounds per inch. That pressure will then engage this rod, which will pull this rod back, pull the clutch lever into the face of the clutch, which will depress onto the friction plate, release the input shaft, and allow you to smoothly change gear. And once you take your foot off the clutch, that removes the pressure, the gear will be engaged again, and you'll carry on moving forward. And let's see how it all goes and fits together. So we're under the car, and this is what the clutch is connected to, is this relay arm. So through a series of bars, clevis pins and levers, you push your foot down on the clutch, which moves this relay arm towards the back of the car like that, which pulls this adjusting rod, which is hooked through there and connected to, when I find it, where are you? I will find it. There it is. Connected to this, which is your clutch lever, and there's a spring connected to the bottom of your clutch lever which fits to the front of this. That's the sun. There. I love being blind. Connects to the gearbox bell housing here via a spring. So when you push your foot on the clutch pedal, it pulls this forward. You can hear that. That is the bearing hitting the front of the clutch. So you push that forward, that engages with the clutch, pushes the clutch down, and you can change gear. When you take your foot off the pedal, this moves forward, being pulled forward by the return spring, releases your bearing from the front of the clutch plate, and you're in gear and driving along smoothly. And that's all to do with simple mechanical levers and rods and split pins and grease. And it's a simple and easy to fix solution to clutch movement. And there we go. And now I'm going to show you how you assemble this linkage from your relay arm through to your spring. So the first things first, you fit your clutch adjusting rod. So you push it through from my end, which is the front of the car, up towards the relay bar, push your right angle through there, and you're going to fit your split pin in a minute. You want that well greased up as well, but I'm going to check the adjustment. So the adjustment for a clutch is no less than 3/4 of an inch on the pedal. So that means when you start putting your foot on the pedal and pushing down, you want it to be more than 3/4 of an inch before it engages. So if it's less than 3/4 of an inch, it's way too tight. Now let's go and have a look at the adjustment. Now to adjust the clutch. So the first thing you've got to do is pull your spring off the bell housing. So I've already done that. So I'm going to pop that out of the way, put it on the floor, and you're left with this adjusting rod onto the clutch lever there and the relay. This clutch arm hasn't got a split pin in it because we're doing some work on the car, but there should be a washer and a split pin, and this should be covered in grease. So I've undone the locking nut at the back, and then you've got the adjusting nut there. So I'm going to adjust that up to there. I'm going to check the play. There we go. I'm just going to just touch that. So I'm going to go in the car now, and I'm going to check the play on the pedal. So I'm looking for, because this is a 1098 clutch, between 1.25 inches and 1.5 inches of free play on the pedal until the clutch bearing meets the clutch plate. So just tighten that up very slightly.
What if it was a 948?
If it was a 948, you'd be looking at no less than 3/4 of an inch of free play. Probably want to be more like an inch really, and then you'll be fine then. So 1 inch and 1.5 inches for a 1098, and for an 803 and a 948 would be a 3/4 of an inch to an inch. Right, so I'm going to go check the free play in the car. Obviously with the return spring off, this pedal's not going to come back. I'm going to use one finger, push it down to get the free. There we go. And I reckon that was around, is that 1.5 inches?
Yeah, I reckon that's a good 1.5 inches.
Let's try that again. Yeah. So I could adjust that up a bit more, but I like a bit more free play too. on a 1098. So yeah, that's fine. So if this was 948, you'd be looking at, if I hold the pedal and simulate a 948 and 803 clutch, which is 3/4 to an inch to an inch, you want about that amount of movement. And then at 1098, you just want that little bit more. So show you that again. So the free play for a 948 and an 803 would be about that much before it engages the clutch plate. And then for a 1098, it'd be about that much. I don't know if can you see that clearly?
I can, yeah.
Oh, there you go. That was better than I thought. Now I'm going to go back up underneath and reconnect everything. Next, after you fit your clutch on, you fit your spring. So it's on the bottom hole of your gearbox bell housing, not the top hole. The top hole is when your spring is worn out and you need to quickly fix it so you can get home. So you fix this on, and I'm going to use a tool to pull that spring and engage it with that hole there. Using your needle nose pliers, you pull your spring back towards this hole, connect it in, and you're done. But we find that quite difficult and time consuming, and we're getting old and weak. So seal pullers are not only just for seals, they've got this lovely fine hook on the end, and we use that. Now we're going to show you how we do that.
Okay, so using my seal puller, I've put the thin end into the spring and I can pull it out. And I'm not as strong as John, nowhere near as strong as him, and I can do it with this tool quite easily, much easier than I can with needle nose, which tend to slip. These don't slip, so that's what I tend to use. But we do have a two-person method, don't we?
We do. We're going to show that. We're going to pull that off and we'll do that. So the easy way of doing it is fitting the spring first and then fitting the clutch rod. So you just put it on by hand like that. Get in the hole.
You're making that look difficult.
No, it was there. Look, it's gone straight in. So it's now in there. The other thing to warn about is spring ping, I call it. So you can be under the car, usually working on your own actually, rather than a couple or pair. You can be fighting with this spring, and it'll end up shooting across either the garage or your garden or somebody else's driveway. So be aware
or your
of that.
eye.
Or yeah. So work behind the spring when you're pulling it, not in front of it, is what I suggest. So that's on now, talking about safety. Now I'm going to push the clutch bar through. I've already adjusted it as close as I wanted to get it. You've got your in there. You tell me when you're ready. There's a clutch forward, the pedal forward.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, ready?
Yeah.
Go.
There we go. So that's straight away, first time. So now we're going to check the adjustment and fit the split pin. Now everything's connected, the clutch rod is through, the spring's attached, the split pin's been split, and we're going to do the final thing. So we're going to use white lithium grease to grease all the metal components on here, because everywhere that touches metal to metal, you got to grease it. But I don't want to get any lithium grease on this new boot we fitted, because lithium grease is petroleum based, and that will affect the boot. So you can use silicone grease on the boot, but not lithium grease. So Amber's going to spray away and I'm going to keep it covered.
I think that's it, isn't it?
You can do all the linkage up there as well, where all those clevis pins are. Give them all a good grease up. Don't do any harm. Anywhere metal touches metal, especially on those clevis pins, and you get that spray gets right in there.
Okay.
Yeah, and there we go. So now let's take it for a test drive. We're done.